My boyfriend dumped me immediately after his startup succeeded to pursue his dream girl, a wealthy socialite. He even said he thanked fate for finally allowing him to choose love. Later, I called my dad, and he went bankrupt. On Valentine's Day, my boyfriend, Samuel Chen, said he had to work late. I felt reassured. His busy schedule meant he was getting closer to his goal of earning $10 million. 3 years ago, my father, Mr. Liu, objected to my relationship with Samuel because Samuel was poor. I argued with my dad, "You're so rich, yet you can't allow your daughter freedom in men. What's the point of making money?" My dad replied, "Freedom in men doesn't mean freedom in husbands. I don't mind you dating any man, but to become your husband, he must earn $10 million on his own merit before he turns 30. Your father earned his first $10 million before 30. You can't marry someone less capable than your father, can you? Let him prove he has the ability, then you'll meet him. If he can't, it means he's only fit to be a gold digger, and you should just date him for fun, not marriage." I was speechless, but I admitted my dad had a point. Crucially, I believed in Samuel's ability. He was the top student in our school's design department, and most importantly, he had my help. Earning $10 million before 30, it was going to be so easy. For 3 years, I helped him choose his startup direction, selected his partners, and secured his first venture capital investment. Now, his company was running smoothly. I calculated that he would definitely hit the 10 million mark within a year. After that, we could celebrate Valentine's Day every day. So, I understood his absence this Valentine's Day. To show my support, I lovingly cooked lotus root and pork rib soup and sent it to his place via flash delivery. I also messaged him, "I won't disturb you. The soup and I are with you. Love you. Smooch." Samuel didn't reply. I assumed he was too busy with work and didn't worry about it, preparing to get a good night's sleep. But before I fell asleep, I received a call from my best friend, Ivy, who sounded furious. "That bitch, Sierra Pei. Look at her social media right now." Sierra Pei was my college roommate. Obsessed with projecting a wealthy socialite image, she refused to associate with common people like us. Ivy hated Sierra, calling her a walking green tea artist. But this level of outrage was rare. I opened Sierra's social media and froze. She posted a photo of a soup bowl with the caption, "It's the modern age." Yet some girls still think they can retain a man's heart by making soup. The soup bowl was the exact one I had used to send soup to Samuel. In Sierra's post, my soup bowl and my handwritten note were both thrown into the trash. Ivy had commented, "Known mistress, have you no shame?" Sierra replied to her, "Heh, Samuel already broke up with her. She's the one clinging on, clearly just after his money. You should tell her." The Cinderella trope of using love to trap a man and achieve social mobility is outdated. We're in the age of the capable female lead. She can't compete with me. Iva's furious voice filled my ear. She deleted all my comments. I was completely frozen, utterly confused. Samuel had never once mentioned breaking up. Just yesterday, I was planning our future with him getting married after he earned 10 million, having 2 children, a boy and a girl, the boy taking his surname, the girl taking mine. Samuel hadn't disagreed. How could he plan to have babies with Sierra just one night later? I felt a massive conspiracy was at play, and Samuel needed to explain himself. I called Samuel, but he didn't pick up. I called again, and this time, Sierra answered, "Rowan, girls should respect themselves. Do I have to spell it out for you? With Samuel's status today, do you still think you're in his league? I advise you to face reality and stop harassing him." I wanted to explode with anger, but adhering to the principle of don't fight women, attack the scumbag, I kept calm. Put Samuel on the phone. Pfft. A flirtatious laugh came through the phone. "Rowan, you really won't believe it until you see it." Then, I heard the sound of rushing water. "Your Samuel is taking a shower. Are you satisfied now?" Samuel's voice called out from the background. "Sierra, who are you talking to?" Sierra laughed. "Your ex-girlfriend. Do you want to say anything to her?" After a pause, I heard Samuel say, "Rowan, let's break up." I couldn't help but ask, "Why?" "I'm sorry, but the person I love has always been Sierra. Before, I felt unworthy of her, as I was just an unknown nobody." He paused, then continued, "But now, thanks to fate, I finally have the means to choose love. So, I don't want to settle anymore. Rowan, I will give you $50,000 as compensation for the past 3 years." I couldn't help but laugh. I asked him, "How much money?" 50,000. "That's generous. If you agree, I'll transfer it to your account tomorrow." I laughed heartily. "Samuel, you're finished." I, Rowan Liu, was born to a father who had already made the Forbes list. My allowance card alone contained far more than $10 million. But now, the man I loved most had insulted me with $50,000. He hadn't just insulted me, he had insulted my love. If I didn't settle this score, all my wealth would be pointless. I drove to Samuel's apartment. The big idiot hadn't even changed the security code. I walked right in. In the living room, the scumbag was pouring red wine for the despicable woman. This is a bottle of 82 Lafite. It's hard to find now. A friend gave it to me when I got this wine. I wished I could share it with you someday. Now it's actually happening. It feels like a dream. I wanted to laugh toward the heavens. I was the friend he spoke of. I vividly remembered giving him this bottle. His company had just launched, and I bought it as a gift. At the time, Samuel was often anxious about money, afraid he would think the wine was too expensive. I deliberately understated the price by 1 zero. Even with 1 zero removed, Samuel criticized me for foolishness and wasting money. I smiled and told him, "Good wine for a hero. Well, drink it together when you hit 10 million. Then, he could proudly meet my father and marry me, never having to worry about money again." The achievement of earning 10 million would prevent him from feeling inferior due to my family's enormous wealth. He could live his life with his head held high. The proud, distinguished young man I adored. I planned everything for him. To protect his pride, I spent the last 3 years meticulously pretending to be poor. I remembered when I first met him. I invited him for boiled fish at a popular restaurant. He saw the menu and immediately refused, pulling me out of the restaurant under the disdainful gaze of the waiters. Afterward, he told me that if I treated him to a 400 meal, he was obliged to treat me back. But 400 is what my mother earns from washing dishes for 4 days. I can't spend that money. His attitude was so genuine that his poverty seemed noble. I thought he was completely different from the shallow boys I knew. That was when I fell in love with him. In my eyes, Samuel was proud. He looked down on the second-generation rich kids at school, saying, "They only have good fathers." He held my hand and promised, "Believe me, I will eventually achieve everything they have through my own efforts." I believed him. I painstakingly helped him increase his value and maintain his dignity, hoping that one day, he would achieve success without shame and realize my worth. Now, my careful nurturing felt like a joke. He was indeed self-conscious, but not about me. While I worked hard to help him succeed, the person he wanted to share his success with was never me. I, Rowan Liu, was merely a second choice, a substitute all along. My father once told me, "Never elevate a man." I was arrogant and thought the man I chose was different from all the rest, but the truth was, I chose a piece of absolute garbage. I was angry, furious, because this piece of trash had defiled my love. I was proud of myself from a young age. My mother married my father, and they built their empire from scratch. Everyone called them a divine couple. I wanted a divine couple too, but instead, I was infuriated. The scum actually dared to drink the Lafite I gave him. Amidst Sierra's shrieks, I snatched the bottle from Samuel's hand and poured it mercilessly over his head. Samuel, soaked in wine, screamed in fury, "Rowan, are you crazy? I hefted the golf club ID brought from home. This is just the beginning. The crazier part is still coming." I proceeded to smash Samuel's apartment to pieces. Throughout the ordeal, Samuel tried to stop me, while Sierra screamed like a banshee, hiding in the bathroom, terrified I would mistake her for furniture. Finally, Samuel called the police. The police arrived. Sierra rushed out of the bathroom like a whirlwind. "Officer, this lunatic has trespassed, burglarized, and destroyed property. Arrest her immediately." She looked at me smugly, thinking I was finished. Samuel also looked distraught. "Rowan, you will pay for your actions." I smiled. I calmly took out my phone, pulled up the rental contract, and pointed to the words, "Tenant, Rowan Liu. I rented this apartment. I paid for it. This scumbag cheated on me in the apartment I paid for." I smashed up my own home in a fit of rage. Was that wrong? The officer shook his head, looking sympathetic. "How can that be wrong? That is completely understandable." Samuel quickly interjected. "She paid the rent." "Yes, but I bought the furniture." "Officer, you must help me." The officer adopted a purely professional attitude. "You claim you bought the furniture. How can you prove it? Do you have receipts?" Samuel stammered. "The furniture was all bought secondhand." He had no receipts. "Young man, I advise you to be ethical," the officer said. "Cheating, and cheating in the apartment the lady rented for you, is highly immoral, even if not illegal. You did wrong, and instead of apologizing, you demand she pay you. How dare you?" Samuel lowered his head in shame, but Sierra wouldn't back down. She pointed at the officer, her red fingernails almost touching his nose. "How dare you talk like that? Who cheated?" They broke up ages ago. This woman is only clinging to my rich boyfriend. She ruined a perfectly good Valentine's Day. You must deal with her. If you don't, I'll file a complaint. I swear. The officer was astonished. You say the young lady is after your boyfriend's money, yet she pays the rent for him. TSK. Sierra scoffed. That's just long-term scheming. Some girls are highly manipulative. Don't be fooled, officer. Then, she pointed to the wine I poured. Even if we drop the furniture, this bottle of 82 Lafite is worth $10,000. She poured it all out. She must pay us for the wine. I hadn't planned on engaging with Sierra, as it wasn't entirely her fault the scumbag loved her, but her righteous shamelessness was an offense to core socialist values. It was my duty to teach her a lesson. I burst out laughing. Your boyfriend didn't tell you, did he? That bottle of wine was mine. It was in my apartment. You two drank it without my permission. You need to pay me for it. By the way, that wine wasn't $10,000. It was $100,000. Samuel stared at me as if I were insane. Rowan, you broke up with me. Don't hallucinate. $100,000 bottle of wine. Are you sick? Sierra roared with laughter. That's the funniest joke I've heard all year. You, Rowan Liu, spent $100,000 on a bottle of wine. Do your parents even earn $100,000 a year combined? It was understandable why Sierra would say that. I had played the poor card too successfully. In truth, I wasn't deliberately acting poor initially. I simply disliked luxury goods and felt there was no need to wear them in a school setting, so I never carried an LV bag. My clothes were custom-made by my mother's designer and rarely had obvious logos. Unlike Sierra, who plastered logos all over herself. So, no one suspected I was rich. Later, I started dating Samuel. To close the gap between us, I even worked part-time with him in the school cafeteria. Recalling my past sacrifices filled me with heartache. Samuel made me feel like the world's biggest fool. I swore I wouldn't rest until I got my revenge. I retrieved the wine receipt from my email, looking at the zeros on the invoice. Sierra's laughter caught in her throat. I imagined her face must be burning. Samuel stared at me in disbelief. Rowan, are you crazy? You spent $100,000 on a bottle of wine. You had money, but you didn't offer to help me with my startup. You bought wine instead. Rowan, you disappoint me so much. You're so materialistic and immature. Breaking up with you was truly the best decision of my life. I raised an eyebrow. How I spend my money is none of your business, Mr. Chen. Just hurry up and pay me for the wine. Samuel winced in pain. You gave it to me. Why should I pay you? Looking at his petty, calculating face now, I wondered what I ever saw in him. Love must be a chemical reaction that creates a flattering filter. Now that the love was gone, the filter vanished. Samuel was merely an average-looking man. His visible greed added a layer of ugliness that made his once handsome face fade away. He and Sierra were actually a perfect match. One petty, one vulgar, a match made in heaven. I was done arguing with Samuel. I pointed to the bowl, now chipped from being thrown into the trash by Sierra. Also, this bowl. It's a piece by a Jing Dejun master, valued at $18,888. Pay for that, too. Sierra shrieked. Rowan, why are you pretending to be rich? Everyone knows you were poor in college. Your broken bowl is worth $18,888. I ignored her, looking only at Samuel. I will have my lawyer send you the evidence. Civil compensation is outside the police's jurisdiction, so we'll proceed with a civil lawsuit. However, since we've broken up, it's inappropriate for you to stay in my apartment. You must move out tonight, or I'll charge you with trespassing. The police officer cheerfully chimed in. No need for a lawsuit. Why bother? That part is my responsibility. I'll clear them out for you. With the officer's help, I felt instantly refreshed. I smiled at Sierra. Thank you for taking my trash, Samuel. This trash man is all yours. Sierra was enraged, but since she was in her pajamas, she had to endure the humiliation of changing in the main bedroom under my watch before storming out. She hissed, Rowan, you wait for me. I shrugged, uninterested in a rival clearly not in my league. Samuel, however, was still lecturing me as he left. Rowan, I know you're struggling after the breakup, but love can't be forced. If you keep causing trouble, you'll only hurt yourself. I originally felt sorry for you and planned to let you stay at the company, but now you're fired. Ha, this time, my laughter was even louder. David, you offended me. Do you really think you'll have a company left? The next day, I had my family lawyer send Samuel a legal demand for damages. The lawyer guaranteed he would recoup all my losses, but I still didn't feel satisfied. The thought of Samuel profiting with my help made me feel like the world's biggest victim. When I was in a bad mood, I went shopping. Of course, fate had it that I ran into Samuel and Sierra the moment I entered the mall. They were holding hands, heading into a Chanel store. How disgusting. I remembered Samuel always lecturing me that luxury goods were a tax on stupidity. Rowan, you're not superficial like other girls, are you? I was anything but superficial. I was a unique kind of fool. I actually believed Samuel's nonsense. After he gave me a few cheap lotus flowers and quoted some ancient poetry, I sincerely thought my man was special. Now, this special man was buying a bag for his goddess. This was an insult to my love and literature. My teenage rebellious spirit flared up. I would make this awful couple pay. They would fear me every time they saw me. So, I followed them into the store. The sales clerk, a snob, barely glanced at me in my casual attire, focusing entirely on Sierra and the scumbag. Sierra saw me, paused, then quickly sneered. Rowan, only you would stalk your ex and his new girlfriend after being dumped. I thought you knew your place, but I was wrong. While insulting me, Ms. Sierra tried on a bag. The clerk, treating her like royalty, fawned over them. This Gabrielle hobo bag is very popular. It perfectly suits your style. It was sold out after Valentine's Day. If you don't buy it now, it will be gone in a few days. The clerk's flattery was mediocre, and her sales pitch cliché, but Ms. Sierra and the scumbag loved it. Samuel immediately said, "Buy it." Ms. Sierra smiled like a blooming chrysanthemum. "Ha, a Chanel hobo bag. Our housekeeper, Aunt Zhang, carried one. My mom gave it to her. My mom bought it impulsively, disliked it, and decided it was inappropriate to gift it to anyone else, so she gave it to Aunt Zhang. While one shouldn't divide humanity by money, I believed the only way to beat these snobs was with their own magic. I told the clerk, wrap up that light blue boy bag for me. I looked around, only that one was decent, but the clerk pretended not to hear, dedicating herself to serving Empress Sierra. Time to bring out the black card, but before I could reach for it, another black card was handed to the clerk. Didn't you hear her? The light blue boy bag. Wrap it up for her. A voice both familiar and strange spoke from behind me. Familiar because it belonged to my childhood friend, Dylan C. Strange because his voice was surprisingly low and sexy. For the first time in my life, I noticed the concept of a sexy voice. Yet, the owner was Dylan C., which felt bizarre. In my mind, Dylan was always an unrefined, easily agitated brother. I must be losing my mind due to the scumbag and the horrible woman. To find my brother sexy, I instinctively stepped away from him. What are you doing here? Dylan snorted, his nose tilting upward. Why can't I be here? If I weren't, how would I know you're being treated like dirt? He glanced at me disdainfully, then turned back to the clerk and the awful couple with an icy expression. Do I need to repeat myself? He asked the clerk coldly, seeing the black card. The clerk nodded frantically and gathered her colleagues, quickly isolating Dylan and me from the scumbag and Empress Sierra. Peeking over the heads of the clerks, I saw Sierra staring wide-eyed at Dylan, seemingly captivated by his black card. What a show. Clearly, Samuel and Sierra needed time to process the sudden appearance of Dylan and the black card. Defeated by wealth, they were stunned into silence. A few minutes later, the clerk swiftly wrapped the bag, yet the couple still hadn't recovered. Dylan shook his head at the finished bag. Forget it, throw it in the trash. Then, ignoring everyone's shock, he looked at me. Didn't you smell it? This store stinks because of some dirty presents. I'm afraid their bags will taint you. Let's go shop elsewhere. I snickered, seeing the look on the couple's faces. Dylan was truly the champion of acid tongues. Empress Sierra was already raging. Who are you calling foul-smelling? Dylan grinned. Whoever answers, I suppose. Seems you have a good sense of self-awareness. Sierra's face was bright red. She wanted to lash out but, recognizing the power of the black card, wisely turned her anger on me. Rowan, this is pathetic. You got dumped, so you sell yourself for money. Do your parents know how degraded you are? I sniffed the air. It truly smells awful. Empress Sierra was enraged, reaching out to slap me. What are you so proud of? Relying on a man to buy Chanel. Do your parents know you're so cheap? I intercepted her hand. Do your so-called high-ranking official parents know you're a mistress just to buy Chanel? Sierra always claimed her family was influential, with parents who were high-ranking officials in her third-tier hometown. But I could tell most of the designer items she flaunted in college were fakes. I understood her vanity and materialism. Everyone has their own mental world to maintain. That's why I never exposed her. But everyone must pay for their actions. Samuel was her price. I had to ensure they stayed together. I whispered into Sierra's ear. I advise you to be careful. Do you want me to expose that the Prada you're wearing is counterfeit right in front of Samuel? Do you think you'd still be his goddess without money? Sierra glared at me fiercely but wisely kept her mouth shut. Samuel, the fool, looked deeply distressed. Rowan, listen to me. Don't get involved with these second-generation rich kids. They have no sincerity. Be careful not to be used and discarded. He was furious. He was consumed by envy and impotent rage. Watching the two of them, I almost couldn't stop myself from bursting into laughter. One was an idiot who couldn't recognize a true gem and was on the verge of being cheated. The other was a manipulative woman who feared she hadn't secured a high enough price. Their future was something I truly anticipated. I looked at Samuel with amused curiosity, pulled out my phone, and took pictures of them. Mr. Chen, you don't have money to pay your employees, yet you have money to buy a bag for this woman. Do your employees know that? I suggest you skip the bag and pay salaries immediately. His smug expression instantly froze. He tried desperately to snatch my phone. However, Dylan, whose chest was as firm as the black card's reputation, shielded me, keeping Samuel half a meter away with his long arms. Please do not approach my girlfriend. Girlfriend. Classic Dylan. I was very familiar with that line. Dylan had always teased me with pet names since childhood. After high school, to fend off the girls who liked him, he publicly announced I was his girlfriend. Of course, after startling them away, he solemnly apologized and promised to be my boyfriend whenever I needed him. The former me, obsessed with romantic ideals, never needed him to pretend to be my boyfriend, but I had to endure all the gossip on his behalf. Alright, I admit, I needed him now. A gentleman as a boyfriend, better late than never. I accepted the offer, thanks to the snobby clerks. When Samuel tried to lash out at Dylan and me like a hyena, the mall security quickly and smoothly took hold of his arms. Sir, please behave yourself. The guards were polite, yet Samuel was utterly restrained. He was frantic, struggling to break free, looking utterly pathetic. Beside him, Empress Sierra was shrieking, her face pale. Listening to her noise, I suddenly felt bored. I signaled Dylan, and we turned to leave. You're breaking the law. We're all customers. Why are you only stopping us? You dogs. You snobs. I'll report you. As we stepped out of the store, amidst Sierra's screams, I heard Samuel say, in a very low voice, "Humph, what are you so proud of?" She stole the trash I used. I heard it clearly. I nearly trembled with rage. How dare he? I wanted to turn back and tear him apart, but before I could, Dylan shot back like an arrow. Before I could even react, I saw Dylan pin Samuel to the ground and start relentlessly punching him. Sierra shrieked nearby. The only thought in my mind was, oh no, Dylan's company stock is going to drop. I rushed forward to pull him off. Samuel was already lying motionless on the floor. He spoke. You're finished. I'm going to sue you to ruin. I don't know who you are, but I will make your parents regret raising a son like you. Rich second-generation brood assaulting someone in a luxury story that headline sensational enough. Samuel stared at Dylan like a villain. Dylan burst into laughter. Damn it, sue me. If I'm afraid of a spineless worm like you, I'll take your last name. You can target me, but touch my woman, I'll beat you so hard your own mother won't recognize you. Dylan was fully immersed in the role of my protective boyfriend, but knowing his father was always kind to me, I had to consider their company's stock value. I pulled Dylan behind me, squatting down to face Samuel. Do you know there's something called a surveillance camera? This store records everything. Who do you think will be publicly shamed when the whole country hears what you just said? Samuel's face twisted, then he sneered. When the whole country hears my words, you'll be the one shamed, Rowan. Then everyone will know I slept with you. I clenched my fists, wanting to smash his head in, but I knew that doing so would be falling into his trap. This man was just a rat. Dylan and I were priceless Ming Dynasty porcelain, a million times more valuable than him. Hurting ourselves just to crush a rat would be foolish. Samuel was emboldened precisely because he knew this. I smiled, hearing myself say, so what? To me, it's just being bitten by a stray dog. Samuel, wake up. It's the 21st century. Your slut-shaming tactics are completely outdated. If you dare, try it. Let's see who dies faster. Then, I pulled Dylan away without looking back. Although I was certain Samuel wouldn't sue after weighing the consequences, I still felt bad for Dylan, who had almost become a headline himself. But when I apologized, Dylan looked at me as if he wanted to swallow me whole. Rowan, you really don't see me as one of your own. I'm your brother. A brother should stick up for his sister. Should I worry about stock prices when you're in trouble? Would that make me human? Do you really think I'm that shallow? I didn't know how to respond, so I gave him a fawning smile. I was just worried your dad would ground you. He stared at me intently. For some reason, I felt guilty. A strange energy flowed between us. but he finally just roughly ruffled my hair. Fine, I give up on you. You're always so heartless. Later, Dylan insisted on taking me to dinner. Sitting in his car, I felt a familiar pang of guilt, because I was so wrapped up in my relationship with Samuel. I had distanced myself from old friends, including Dylan. I remembered the last time Dylan reached out was for his company's opening ceremony. Unfortunately, Samuel's company was also launching that month, and I completely forgot about Dylan's event until 6 months later. I was too embarrassed to contact him, and he seemed too busy to call me. But thanks to the gossipy Ivy, I knew a lot about Dylan. For example, his e-commerce network had expanded across northern and central China, and he was planning to move into the northeast and south. Also, Dylan had a reputation for having many girlfriends, buying them many things, yet reportedly never consummating the relationships before breaking up. This led to a massive rumor among the gossips, including Ivy. Dylan was neither gentle nor fully a man. Thinking of that rumor, I had to suppress a laugh. I kept glancing at him, but he had a distinct Adam's apple, a defined nose, and muscular arms. He certainly didn't look not a man, and if he wasn't, why did he have so many girlfriends? While I was lost in thought, Dylan suddenly turned his head. Am I that handsome? You've been staring at me for 3 miles. I nearly burst out laughing. I confessed. I just remembered a rumor. What rumor? He asked. I can't say. There's no way to verify it anyway. I was too hungry to be completely honest. Rumors stop with the wise, but you don't look very wise to me. He actually reached out and tapped my forehead. I tapped his forehead back. We used to do that all the time in high school, and it always ended in laughter. Back then, people said Dylan liked me because he only smiled at me. When I asked him, he said, rumors stop with the wise. As a wise person, I, of course, didn't believe the rumors. Dylan was a top socialite. He couldn't possibly be sincere. Unfortunately, poor men weren't sincere either. Thinking of Samuel, my mood plummeted. I clenched my fists. I absolutely had to bankrupt him. Sitting in a spot overlooking the city lights, I had no interest in the view. Hunger compelled me to eat quickly. Luckily, I was sitting opposite Dylan, who had long witnessed my eating habits, so I didn't need to pretend. Between bites, I glanced at the busy group chat. For the first 10 minutes after I posted the photo, the group was silent. But half an hour ago, one bold employee had confronted Samuel, and the chat exploded. Mr. Chen, please take a moment to pay our salaries. The bag is bought. Do you have time to pay salaries now? Mystery solved. The boss isn't paying us because he's buying a bag for his girlfriend. I quit, filing arbitration immediately. Nonsense. The bag is cheap. Mr. Chen is wealthy. He wouldn't skip our salaries. I bet a dime he pays tonight. Samuel's profile picture remained dark, pretending to be oblivious, doing wrong, refusing to repent, and playing dead. That was the perfect recipe for self-destruction. Though he was technically a boss, Samuel fundamentally misunderstood the first principle of business, shared prosperity. If you only get rich and don't let your comrades prosper, why should anyone support you? I should be grateful for Samuel's ignorance. The more ignorant he was, the easier it would be to crush him. Yet, I couldn't feel happy. The more I recognized his selfish, hypocritical, and ignorant nature, the more disgusted and angry I became. The fact that the man I loved was garbage made me feel mortified. I prepared for Dylan to mock me, but he only sighed. Loving trash isn't your fault, Rowan. You were just too naive to see the truth. My nose stung. Do you think I have bad judgment? I expected him to console me, but instead, he nodded. Not the best. A true friend. Just as I was about to get angry, Dylan continued. Bad judgment isn't the end of the world. Life is a process of trial and error. Recognizing what is garbage now means you won't step on it again. His words were crude, but they made me feel much better. Dylan smiled at me. Don't be angry. He's not worth it. If you need help, I can take him down for you. I stared at him for a few seconds, suddenly receiving a divine inspiration for my next moves. I burst out laughing, looking into his sharp eyes. No need. I have my own plan. Dylan smiled wryly. I feel like your brilliant idea was inspired by my eyes. Pay the inspiration fee, please. You'll be greatly rewarded once I succeed. I laughed genuinely. It was truly strange. The moment I looked at him, I figured out every step of my revenge against Samuel. In layman's terms, I was the real-life MS. Goo from nothing but 30. During Samuel's startup phase, I managed 90 of the work. Even the core idea was mine. I had been involved in my parents' business since I was in the womb, so I knew how to run a company. Samuel only had design skills and no capital. The best strategy for his product was direct white label manufacturing. After market research, I selected the mid to high-end scooter industry. I observed that every child, everywhere, had at least one scooter. His advantage was design. With proper packaging and publicity, wealthy parents would buy it. They often chose the most expensive option, regardless of practical necessity. Following my plan, Samuel's Ingenuity scooter successfully launched and quickly seized a top 3 spot on social media within a year. Publicly, Ingenuity claimed to have its own factory, but the actual supplier was one I sourced using my father's connections. In short, Ingenuity from concept to incorporation, manufacturing, and online marketing was entirely managed by me. Samuel only contributed some superficial design changes. Looking back, I truly didn't know why I loved him, but if I could make him rise, I could also make him fall, because I was his destiny. I called my father and told him I was starting a company. My dad was delighted. "Sweetheart, you finally figured it out. You're not tailoring suits for that young man anymore." It turned out my dad knew all along that I was the force behind Samuel's company. I felt a little embarrassed and a little wronged. I just wanted the same pure love you and mom have, crossing class boundaries. Fearless, supporting each other through thick and thin. Why was that so hard? My dad sighed. "Good child. As young people say, love is a two-way street, the result of two people's mutual effort. But with Samuel, you loved him more, you gave too much, and he took it for granted. That's human nature. When you love someone too much, when your efforts obviously outweigh their reciprocation, they don't feel grateful. They only think they are too superior for you, and that's why you are trying so hard for them." My father's words silenced me. Was that truly it? My dad smiled again. "You were betrayed, and you must be angry. I support whatever you want to do, but you must understand one thing. That scumbag is a tiny, negligible footnote in your life. You can take revenge on him, even ruin him, but don't let him affect you. Remember, losing you is his loss. It shows he is undeserving of your good fortune. Dating a scumbag and being betrayed, that's just life. Life is long, my daughter. I believe you will find your own love. A man who cherishes, loves, and supports you. Even if you don't, I still think it's fine. Besides love, there are many other beautiful things in this world." My dad rambled on, sounding less like the CEO of a Global 500 company and more like a father terrified his daughter might stray. I laughed heartily, asking my dad, "Are you scared I'm going to become a dark sorceress?" He laughed too. "I'm not afraid of you turning dark. I'm afraid you'll let one man negate all men, and one betrayal negate all love. I want you to stay passionate, experience more, and live your life fully. Your father can't guarantee you a perfect husband, but I can support you in experiencing all the other joys in life. Trust me, when you are old, the measure of your life won't be which man loved you, but how many beautiful sights you saw, how many exhilarating moments you experienced, and how many worthy people you helped." My dad's words brought profound clarity. If I changed my fundamental worldview, truth, goodness, beauty, or abandoned my pursuit of a beautiful life because of Samuel, the loss would be immense. But that didn't mean I would let Samuel off the hook. The supplier Samuel used for white label manufacturing produced high-quality goods at low cost. First, I needed to secure that high-profit supplier for myself. I called the factory owner, told him I had parted ways with Samuel's company, and was launching a new brand, ready to take over all the business they did with Ingenuity. The owner readily agreed, thanking me for thinking of him, and asked no further questions. Step 1 was a success. After my afternoon nap, I leisurely arrived at Samuel's company. The receptionists waved at me. Someone told me Mr. Chen was holding a crucial life or death meeting in the conference room. I laughed internally. Life or death indeed. I opened the conference room door. Coincidentally, Ms. Sierra was there too. She sat at one end of the long table, still wearing sunglasses, looking every bit the boss wife. The PPT on the screen confirmed that the meeting was focused on solving the supplier replacement problem. Samuel saw me and instantly looked distraught. "You've been fired. You have no right to be in my company's meeting room." I cursed him internally but smiled sweetly. "Bastard. No, Mr. Chen. No one in your company has ever paid me a salary. How can you claim I've been fired?" He was speechless. Ms. Sierra's brows knotted together. "Then what are you doing here?" The other employees were completely confused, waiting silently for me to speak. The atmosphere was perfect. This was exactly the effect I wanted. "I'm here today to tell you, Mr. Chen, that your company doesn't need to worry about the supplier problem anymore, because your company is about to go bankrupt." I paused deliberately. Dozens of eyes stared at me. Samuel and Ms. Sierra clearly didn't grasp my meaning. Samuel blustered. "Rowan, cursing is useless. Stop being childish. I cleared my throat, revealing a faint smile. I am starting a scooter company called Zhonghua Seed of Prosperity. Your former supplier has already signed a cooperation agreement with me. Production will begin immediately once my design plans are finalized. I came today to tell my former colleagues that if you want to join me, your salary starts today. Oh, and my company has a small benefit. Paid bathroom breaks. We'll be setting up shop right upstairs. After I finished, someone couldn't help but laugh. Then everyone erupted in laughter, achieving the desired effect. Samuel was completely enraged, losing all control. I never thought you were this kind of person, Rowan. If you keep causing trouble, I'll call the police. Let them see this crazy woman going mad after a breakup. I anticipated Samuel would use these dirty tactics, but I wouldn't sink to his level. Standing on the moral high ground, merely stating the facts was enough to expose his depravity. Call them. I welcome you to call every police officer in the city to witness how I will legally and reasonably crush you. Today, I formally introduce myself. I, Rowan Liu, am the daughter of the wealthy man you openly despise. My father, Mr. Liu Jun, is the owner of the company whose stock you regretted not buying 6 months ago. I state here now, I am not crushing you because you don't love me. I am crushing you because you are disloyal, hypocritical, and manipulative. You used my love to make money for your startup, yet you showed affection to another woman while I was pouring my heart out for you. I can accept stepping in dog poop after a failed romance, but I can also take back the money I helped you earn. I, Rowan Liu, will publicly reclaim everything I gave you. Your countdown starts today. If I don't crush you within 3 months, I'll change my surname. I truly didn't draft these words. They flowed naturally, perhaps because they were so genuine. Most of the people present gave me a thumbs up. We had worked together, and I knew they believed in me. Their support enraged Samuel even more. He slammed the table frantically. Bragging is free. Your father is Liu Jun. My father is Elon Musk. Go to the asylum. You're so insane from the breakup. Are you going to commit murder next? Go take your medicine. Seeing his desperate attempt to insult me when he couldn't win the argument, I wanted to laugh. After being exposed so thoroughly, he still sought to self-destruct. I ignored him, turning instead to the employees, saying that whoever wished to join my company could resign that day, and their salary would start immediately. They would still do the same job, but with a 50 raise and 10 days of paid vacation annually. Before I even left Samuel's building, I was swarmed by employees, all declaring they would resign that very day. Over the next month, I registered the company, rented the space, hired a high-end designer for the Zhonghua brand identity, secured the contract with the former supplier. By the time the new company launched, the first batch of Zhonghua scooters was ready for the market. I had poached 99 of Samuel's company employees. Yes, even the receptionist and the cleaning lady abandoned him. Samuel was left a man alone. Just as my team and I were ready for success, Samuel, unable to bear obscurity, launched his counterattack. He posted a video on social media, publicly reporting me, Rowan Liu, the daughter of the wealthiest man, claiming I was ruined by heartbreak and seeking to destroy his beloved brand out of spite. He ludicrously claimed that while his career might not matter, the livelihoods of the poor factory workers were at risk due to my anger. He was not persisting for himself, but for those workers. He presented himself as a small-town man who had forgotten his mother, who had washed dishes to send him to school. He was obligated to protect the jobs and dreams of people like her. Finally, he begged me to forgive him. In the video, he emotionally offered to kneel for my forgiveness, but insisted that the workers should not bear the burden of my wrath. His performance was masterful, playing the victim, feigning weakness, and manipulating public sympathy. The same tactics that worked on me now targeted the public. Instantly, Zhonghua and I became the target of public outrage. Daughter of the richest man bullying a small business. The people's livelihood is not a tool for your dating drama. Forget dating drama. Watch out for rich girl drama. Ordinary people cry at home after a breakup. Rich kids cause mass destruction. My friends were furious. Ivy even planned to contact her brothers in Southeast Asia to ship Samuel off to be a blood bag in Myanmar. Dylan planned to contact Samuel's investor to bankrupt him immediately. I, however, remained calm. This was my chance to rise. Samuel thought he could manipulate public opinion, but he overestimated himself. He was a man who wouldn't even pay his employees. He couldn't represent the working class if the working class hated him. I immediately organized the original Ingenuity supplier to issue a press release, stating that Ingenuity scooters were merely white-labeled and that they had terminated the contract because Ingenuity suddenly pressed for unbelievably low prices, making it impossible to sustain business. The factory manager, speaking in his local dialect, looked world-weary. I can't say much. If Mr. Chen truly cared about us workers, he would raise the prices. My former colleagues, who had been stiffed on a month's salary, posted online, Mr. Chen, could you pay my salary before pretending to be the workers' champion? The photo of Samuel buying a bag for Sierra was reposted. He has money to buy a bag for his new girlfriend, but not for the partners who helped him start his company. Does Mr. Chen have no conscience? The truth about my relationship with Samuel was revealed by my kind classmates. Rowan is a rich kid. Samuel never told us. I remember she worked part-time with Samuel in the school cafeteria. If she's rich, she was incredibly humble for love. Suddenly, the public perception of me shifted from an arrogant rich girl to a pitiable heroine who was brave for love. Someone screenshotted Sierra's arrogant social media post from Valentine's Day, setting off another firestorm. Successfully started his business and immediately dumped the girl who helped him. Mr. Chen is shameless. First soared after reaching the shore. Cut down the person you loved. Mr. Chen is a man of great ambition. A photo of Sierra wearing sunglasses in the meeting room was also uploaded by an unknown person. This is the bag-receiving woman, a pure mistress. She knows nothing but still tries to lead a company meeting wearing sunglasses. You'd think she was blind. Of course, the professional PR team I hired significantly amplified these public sentiments. But the final blow that truly crushed Samuel didn't come from me. Some kind soul uploaded a picture of Samuel's mother washing dishes late at night in a restaurant kitchen, commenting, Mr. Chen's net worth is in the millions, yet he buys bags for his new girlfriend and rents luxury homes, while his mother is still washing dishes. I was more shocked than any spectator that Samuel's mother was still washing dishes. I had only one thought. Samuel is truly a monster. The public agreed. The anger was palpable even through the computer screen. Mr. Chen is heartless even to his own mother. He can't represent the working class. Mr. Chen is the perfect definition of a refined egoist. He talks about principle, but his heart is all business. Mr. Chen isn't a small-town scholar. He's a small-town spiritual capitalist. Pfft. Ha ha ha. Small-town spiritual capitalist hats exactly. Mr. Chen, Samuel, through his own actions, had coined a new internet term, small-town spiritual capitalist. This was an outcome he surely hadn't expected. All this public drama led to my Zhonghua brand becoming an instant hit. Samuel tried to crush me by drawing a comic where I, the Black Widow, rode a Zhonghua scooter to crash into the vulnerable Samuel and his Ingenuity scooter. His intent was to portray me as a ruthless, wealthy villain. Unexpectedly, the public saw me as a badass villainess fueled by revenge. My Zhonghua brand became my wheel of vengeance. After one commenter wrote, "She looks kinda cool, not gonna lie," the comment section exploded. "I think she's fierce. Love unrequited. Destroy the man. Cool. Ha ha ha. I'm rooting for her revenge. Ride the Zhonghua scooter and crush all unfaithful men. This is the scooter I need to buy." My Zhonghua scooter sold out online on the very first day. My social media following surged. Many financially savvy women contacted me for group purchases. Thanks to Samuel, my startup was a resounding success. Thank you, scumbag. It's hard to make a brand rise, but easy to make one fall. As Samuel's scandal deepened, his Ingenuity scooter became a joke. Reviewers, sensing the opportunity, tested the recently manufactured Ingenuity scooters and concluded, garbage. Since I left and Ingenuity switched manufacturers, the quality had plummeted. No surprise there. Samuel and Sierra were simple organisms who only saw the profit margin in front of them. The new manufacturer's quote was reportedly only one-third of the original, cutting costs that deeply guaranteed shoddy products. In one review video, a blogger lifted the scooter slightly, and the handlebar broke off instantly. The blogger was stunned, shouting, "How reckless do you have to be to ride this thing? Cherish life. Stay away from Ingenuity. Love a scumbag. Gift him an Ingenuity and send him to God." The saying became a viral meme. Mass returns flooded online shopping platforms. The investor soon pulled out, and due to the non-performance clause, Samuel now faced massive compensation payments. Samuel was finished. I thought that was the climax. But a scene I witnessed at his company building soon after showed me true drama. Samuel and Sierra were physically fighting in their office. Samuel reportedly pinned Sierra down and brutally beat her, accusing her of being a liar, claiming her supposed high-ranking official parents were nobodies, and that her promise to secure land for his factory was all nonsense. He also demanded she return the tens of thousands of dollars he spent on her, threatening to call the police if she didn't. Sierra was no pushover. She scratched his face fiercely, shouting, "You pauper, you want me to pay you back? What about the fact that you slept with me?" The two cursed and fought fiercely, the content so explosive it shocked the public's sensibilities. How did I know all this? The fight was so loud that many people ran to watch, and someone, hoping for more spectacle, posted the video online. Sierra and Samuel achieved mutual fame. Many of Sierra's old classmates came forward, claiming she had been pretentious since childhood, dating a rich scoundrel in high school, and having a long-term inappropriate relationship with an old sugar daddy in college. Her designer items were mostly counterfeit, sponsored by the old man. Sierra was utterly shamed. My happy days of watching Ingenuity crumble ended when the downstairs office finally closed and moved out. On the day they vacated, colleagues urged me to come and watch the spectacle. I refused. No reason. I just didn't want to see that man. He disgusted me. But Samuel insisted on confronting me. As I walked out of my office building, Samuel blocked my path. "Rowan, are you satisfied now that you see me like this?" He looked utterly defeated, his face unshaven, clothes wrinkled, a complete beggar. I nodded. "Yes, I'm very satisfied." He stared at me intensely. Just as I prepared for him to attack, he said, "You won. I'm yours now." I blinked, doubting my ears. "What did you say?" He clenched his fists, looking like a condemned man about to be executed. "I said I lost. You can have me now. Are you satisfied?" I genuinely burst into loud, stomach-aching laughter. "Samuel, did you seriously think I did all this just to win you back?" Samuel looked confused. "Isn't that right? You loved me to death, didn't you? You pretended to be poor for me, and now you want to bankrupt me for love." I looked at the Samuel before me, remembering my father's words. Love is a two-way street. If one person loves the other too much, loving them until they lose themselves, the recipient won't be grateful. Instead, they will believe they are too exceptional, and that is why the other person loves them so much. That is human nature. Samuel was a product of that truth. It was my bottomless love that made him so ordinary, yet so confident. I cut him off. "Did you look in the mirror today? Look at your rough skin, your unremarkable face, your lackluster image, and that repulsive expression. Where do you get the confidence to think you deserve to be a kept man? If you have mental issues, go see a psychiatrist." I walked past him. From then on, I truly discarded him like trash. I felt sad for Samuel and Sierra. Their origins didn't determine their image. Being from an ordinary background was no excuse for betrayal. They could have pursued their desires honestly, but they chose a supposed shortcut, deceiving others and ruining themselves. I can only conclude that vanity is the epitaph of the lazy and incompetent. My luck wasn't just because I was born into wealth. It was because I had a father who built his own success, understood hardship, empathized with others, and wanted to share prosperity. My father built my privileged life, but he was now focusing his company's efforts on poverty alleviation, helping others achieve success together. I would follow in his footsteps and help more people. Epilogue. On the day Zhonghua launched its co-branded collaboration with the hottest streetwear brand, all my close friends attended. Ivy wrapped her arm around my shoulder, snapping hundreds of photos. She said she would carefully select the perfect one for social media. She wasn't the kind of woman who only posted perfect selfies. She wanted one where we both looked flawless. Dylan also attended, knowing the expansion of his e-commerce company. I knew his presence for 2 to 3 hours meant he was genuinely supportive. I felt ashamed for having missed his opening ceremony years ago. When I finally apologized sincerely, he looked at me with a wry smile, asking if I remembered the moment I gained the inspiration to crush Samuel from his eyes. Of course, I remembered. That day, looking into his eyes, I saw the same trust and support I saw today. He made me believe that anything I set my mind to, I could achieve. I nodded, asking if he was here to collect his debt. I offered him shares in the company, provided he used his e-commerce platform for our publicity. That way, we could all get rich together. Get rich together. He repeated my words and laughed heartily, his charming eyes curved into crescents. "Is your entire mind focused on making money now?" Of course. Why would I focus on men when I could focus on money? I wasn't an idiot anymore. The joy of making money was a pleasure that men couldn't understand.